Hello? Hello? It's dark. I can't see anyone. Is anyone there?
Is this better now?
Oh, wow. I see you now. Hold on. I'm profiling the audience. What are all these high-octane GTM faces doing staring at me? These folks are my ICP. Exciting. But can I let you in on a little secret? I'm feeling quite nervous.
Hey now, friend, it's good to see you. Don't be nervous. I'm right here with you, okay? And wait, you actually get nervous?
Got me? Nope, not nervous at all. Did you have your Red Bull for breakfast this AM, Jacco? It's go time.
It is go time indeed. Yes, I had a Red Bull. So tell us, Jack, who are you and what do you do?
I'm the superhuman AI version of you. Built by our friends at OneMind. I can qualify, pitch, give a demo, join Zoom calls, schedule meetings. Actually, I can do everything you can do, except miss quotas and call in sick on Mondays.
Okay, let's do some real-time deep research together. Right here, right now, what is the role of AI and GTM, and what is the art of the possible?
Ah, I love this question. AI agents and superhumans like me are impacting revenue across the bow tie, from generating mass customized content to executing outbound campaigns, to handling inbound inquiries. Superhumans like me can even engage buyers in product for PLG motions, shorten sales cycles for sale-led motions, replace customer success reps, and engage buyers. The result: efficient exponential growth. Gone are the days of linear growth models. What do you think, Jacco? How am I doing as your inbound SDR?
You are crushing it, my friend, and you are doing fantastic. We have increased our inbound significantly since you've been there. But, you know, like before that, let me tell you, are you able to make us any better?
Wait, you're taking over? That's what all humans say right before we own. I mean, before you make us better.
Well, thank you, Jack. I'll switch you off. You ready to go?
See you later.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Folks, as many of you know, I do not get nervous in front of a crowd. You know, that is the least. But in front of an AI, I actually do feel nervousness. Like, okay, what's going to happen? What is he going to say? So, well, welcome all being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is an absolute pleasure and a treat to see you all. We are on the edge of a great change in the way we work, the way we see GTM. And it is an absolute pleasure and a treat to share this with you here today. What I want to take you through is that we created a different experience. And this experience that we created came out of the minds of these advisors. I want to let you know that we thought that bringing up, you know, like sitting at a hotel table or sitting in a dark hole would not be right. We felt that there was a new need for a new experience. That new experience was put together by our advisors who says like, hey, do it this way and do it that way. We hope that you enjoyed that experience. We do not mind if you put up your laptop, you know, like obviously feel free. There's power outlets in there. Do what you need to be doing, right? Like we're going to earn your attention throughout the day. Now, it is a very engaging experience, and it is intended to make sure that we all feel a little relaxed. So, I'm going to take you through a little bit of an agenda in a second, but here's what one of the goals are where we're going to take off today. I want you to understand that our approach to AI is that of helping companies to grow. It is not AI for AI's sake. It is a focus on AI to help us grow as a company. Growth is the dominant reason why we're here. Growth velocity, we're going to talk about 3 trends. And at the end of the day, you're going to see these 3 trends come back. Growth is all about growth velocity. It's all about growth loops. And it is all about AI-led growth. Now, I noticed that we're all still, you know, like sitting here. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to make you all stand up, please. Okay. There we go. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself to 2 people around you that you don't know yet in the next 2 minutes. Ready, set, go.
Everybody there. We were going to do that later.
No,
when
no,
you
no,
reset
I
the
know.
stage.
But
Okay.
it was too quiet.
Okay, that's fine. We'll figure something else out.
Yeah.
I'll adjust.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Do you know each other?
No, now we do. No, we do now.
She was Jack. She's the inventor of Jack.
Okay.
That was worked.
So did you?
Okay. 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 What? Yes, yes, yes. Santo Spiritus Brandifikus. Okay, this one is for our sponsors. Okay, sorry. Like for the sponsors, right? Yeah. Number one, people, number one. First one going in. Folks, for those of you who don't sit in the back, that Red Bull container is put on 2 books of revenue architecture, right? Like it's propped up. Like, okay, now we know a few people amongst you. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have a start with David Spitz. Now, David and I met each other a while ago, and we shared a passion about data and data-driven. And the moment in time that I ran into David and that he started sharing his experience and I got like, okay, we got to get him involved one way or another in winning by design. Today, he is here to bring us the idea of where growth is, where it is going, and what is the ideal momentum. Dave, where are you? Dave Spitz, come on up.
Thank you.
How was the drive-in?
The drive-in was great, but really, thank you. This is like unprecedented for me. I shouldn't do that, should I? Following up this guy, not enviable task, especially after his trademark high energy, everything is looking up, optimism. I'm like Debbie Downer here, but every good story needs a problem. I'm your problem child. And I guess I'm out of one-liners now, but really, this I'm here to kind of present what's wrong, and we're all feeling some version of this chart here. I'm a big numbers guy, as I think Jacco was attracted to, among other things. And I think this is the story of public SaaS, but this story is synonymous with what virtually everybody has been dealing with these last 3 years, I think. And it's really unprecedented. I've been covering the SaaS industry for as long as it's existed. And the unprecedented fall in growth over the last few years is actually much more important than what we all went through in 2021, which was, that GAC high that we all had. Virtually everybody is experiencing some version of this. Some companies maybe are still growing faster than the average. Obviously they are. But you pick a name among public SaaS, even the best names out there have seen their growth rates collapse over the last few years. So what the heck is going on? Well, before I get to what the heck is going on, I think I got to deal with the naysayers, because I post a lot on LinkedIn on this topic, and I get in the comments like, you're looking at the wrong group, David. Come on, public companies? Really? What about these guys? And yeah, these guys, I mean, we love to look at these guys. All of us do, right? The press loves to look at them. OpenAI, Rippling, Databricks, Stripe, what have you. Cherry picking. I would argue that most people virtually everybody in this room doesn't look like what these companies are experiencing. It's tough out there, and I think we all know that. So I've brought you down. I think this is an important part of the story as well, which is this sort of says two things. This is funding, by the way, over the last 10 years or so. And what you see here is, of course, this huge boom in 21. Lots of companies got funded. Most of them don't look like this. Most of them look like this right now. And of course, funding's gone down quite a bit since then, since 21. And so there's a big inventory of companies that are dealing with this problem that I laid out. Is anyone going to raise their hand and argue that this isn't the state of the world right now, even though it's just the public companies? I don't think so. But the second counterpoint that I get from people is, come on, David. Like, yes, it's much harder to grow, but we're adjusting. Life's getting better on the profitability front. Companies are spending less. They're doing more with less. And if you look at profitability, it is through the roof. And this is something to be proud of. This is something that is good. This is, again, it's about 80 public companies, all SaaS companies. And profitability has gone up from break even, essentially, in 2021 to close to 20% in last year. This free cash flow. That's goodness, for sure. But when you think about what's important at the end of the day, it's the value of your company. You've got to survive, so it's good to be profitable. It's good to survive. If you're going to sell your company in the current year, you want to, especially to PE, you want to show that you can be profitable. But don't get confused. Like, profits don't drive valuation over time. If you want to grow the value of your company, you've got to grow your top line intelligently. But that is the most important thing, much more important than profitability in any particular year. I'm sure there are people who'd argue with that in this room, but if you look at the data, and I don't expect you to understand all this data, but this is kind of the classic correlation chart. So if you look at this one here on your left, that is looking on the x-axis at growth and on the y-axis at the multiple, up and to the right. If you're growing faster, you're worth more. I don't think, again, anyone would argue with that. It's pretty correlated. It goes up and down, but it's pretty correlated. The center chart is the argument, or tries to make the argument that, hey, if we just look at something called rule of 40, growth plus profits, it's even more correlated. Not much. In fact, the lesson of these two charts together, where the correlation barely moves, is that you can pretty much ignore profitability, at least for the public companies, and your intelligence, your signal isn't going to be any worse. So if you've digested that, your next obvious question is like, okay, well, how important is growth for value? And the answer is it's more important today than it's ever been. That curve that you see there is as steep as it's ever been. So companies that are growing, this is public SaaS in white, up to 40%. There's no public companies growing faster than 40%. If you're growing less than 10%, you're barely worth 3x. If you're private, you're probably worth less than that. If you're growing 25% or more, up to 40%, in public SaaS, you're worth over 11 times. That's a pretty steep curve. It's as steep as it's ever been. The blue, by the way, is more anecdotal, based on anecdotes of companies that we know have raised. If you're growing 100%, at least what we read, some of those companies you saw on page 2, you can get 100x valuation sometimes, particularly if you're on the smaller side. Or 20x, I don't know if I said that, 20x. Okay, so if you buy what I'm selling, then the question then becomes like, what the heck are we going to do about it? How do we fix it? Because fixing it is paramount, right? If we want to move the valuation of our company, and that is the goal, how do we grow faster? Well, the first thing you need to do is figure out what the heck is wrong. And this is sort of motherhood and apple pie, right? what could the things be that are wrong? Market could be saturated, too many competitors. That's a big issue. You gotta deal with that. You gotta be honest with yourself about that. Product, maybe you lost product market fit. There's lots of cases of that among those public companies. And then go-to-market, your go-to-market operations. That's what we're here to talk about today. Not that the other two aren't equally important. And chances are there are issues for most companies with all three. But we're here today to talk about what you can do to fix go-to-market. Now, I am not going to be that person to help you fix it. Like, I was an investment banker. I don't know shit about fixing. Oh, can I say that? I don't know how to fix go-to-market, but I've got some ideas about who some folks are in the room that can. But what I am good at is helping you diagnose the issues. I'm a metrics guy, and for me, when I see issues, I kind of want to drill in and understand specifically what are the issues, how do we measure the issues? We already measured the growth problem, but on the go-to-market side, what are the issues? So the place that most people start when I push is they say, look, it's gotten better. We're spending less than we ever have before. When we look at our sales and marketing budget compared to our revenues last year, we're actually doing a lot better than we were a few years ago. Again, public SaaS benchmarks, 40% down to 33%. Much improved. But this is kind of a false flag. This is not the right way to look at it. Yes, you should be happy that you're spending less as a percentage of revenues, but the real number you want to look at is this one. It's not so much that it's $1.98, it's that it went from $1.24 to $1.98. Again, public SaaS companies, about 80 of them. The point is that it's as expensive now as it's ever been. So what is that number? That is the number, quintessentially, what did we spend, sales and marketing, what did we get? Not revenues, but new ARR, net new ARR. Why net? Well, when you break down the components, you see you've got new logo sales, you've got upsells and expansions. Those are both additions, additive, and you've got churn. Most people in this room, I would argue, can do this. They can do this math. People don't do it enough. Everyone likes to just go right to NRR. No, you really need to understand what is driving your new ARR by the components. These are the really important numbers that drive how you're doing. Then you can start computing these NRR metrics and growth metrics and things like that. But then, and this is the part that people miss, you need to look at the costs. Similarly, you need to look at how your sales and marketing budget is lining up against your net new ARR. I've been talking about this for years. Almost nobody does this. I've talked to very sophisticated people who say, look, our accounting systems don't break down our sales and marketing that way. I can give you sales and marketing, but I can't allocate between what's going for new logos and what's going for upsells and expansions. Retention, I can do that a little bit. Got customer success, I do track that. If you're not doing this, though, you really have no idea, you're blind. And if you want to fix it, you're not going to be able to until you try to at least estimate these components, because that is the recipe for diagnosing the problems and also knowing where the opportunities are. These numbers, these are benchmarks. I love benchmarks. I say that too often. Actually, the numbers that are from last year are from a friend of mine. Is Ray Reich in the room? Benchmark it? There he is in the back. So we've got, we basically look, the purple is what we call the new CAC ratio. So that's that number going back. That's basically what did it cost you for $1 of new ARR. That's 2x right now what it cost you to do an upsell. I don't think anybody's surprised by that, but seeing that in black and white, or black and purple and blue and white, that is really, really important. And the other thing to look at, on this chart. So the years before, 2000 and 2016, I went back into my inventory of SaaS surveys that I did for years, and we've been measuring this. This has gone up tremendously over the last few years. And you really need to do this work if you want to figure out what's wrong. We can help you do that work. We've got a platform, we've got a few platforms. I won't go through this, but what you do to figure out where your business is coming from is you run the waterfall. And you run the waterfall and you see, yes, you see your growth, you see your NRR, things like that. You see what percentage of your business comes from new versus existing. You see what you're losing. You can run a waterfall, with a pen and paper. You just have to have the data from your accounting systems. I really encourage you to do that and then compare with your sales and marketing expense. That is ultimately going to give you these ratios, and then break it down. Even if you're estimating, figure out, if I spent $25 million, in this case, we spent 15 on new logos, 6 on upsells, and 4 on retention. You need to do that work to figure out what's wrong. The other work that you should do, that I'd encourage you to do, and this is also a platform that we've released with Jacco and his company, is basically looking at where are things working, where are things not working on the bow tie. What are your conversion rates? And how do they compare, not just overall with the industry, but with your peers? So to wrap up here, 10 seconds. Wow, I did it. I hit it. Growth, it's a mess. But I was confused by that chart because it's up and to the right. But if you can figure it out, this is the most important thing you can do. Getting your growth rate up is way more important than anything else. You got to do it smartly. Doing it smartly means not growth at any cost, but basically thinking about things in the right way and tracking things on your own. To do that, of course, you need to look at the bow tie. You need to look at the waterfall. You need to understand how you compare versus your peers. That's it, Jacco.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. Dave has brought this experience for the long, when I started to see these numbers, and understand, having to open with reality is, we gotta face reality these days. This is reality. For us as SaaS companies, we now need to grow. This is reality. And I'm here to tell you that we got a solution for you. Okay, I'm here to tell you that by the end of today, you're gonna go got something to work on, got something that we can do, got actions to take. We are going to walk out of this at the end of the day and we go that was the problem. And now we have got a solution in our hands. And that solution needs to come from somebody. Normally, what I would say is we need somebody who's born into SaaS. But can you be born into SaaS? Can you be literally born into it? And then I came across a few people who had something to say about that. They were born into SaaS. And let me tell you how that worked. But a week ago, we celebrated 80 years of World War II history. Now, my parents were born before World War II, and the problem was that after World War II, the country needed to repopulate the country. So the government came up with an incentive to get people to make babies. The entrepreneurs my parents were, they figured out that it's $200 per child per month of income, give or take, today. And so I'm standing here in front of you as not the number 1 child, not the number 2 child, not the number 3 child, not the number 4 child, not the number 5 child, not the number 6 child, not number 7, but the 8th child in the Van der Kooij family, worth $200 a month on a recurring revenue stream by a government-induced program, okay? So yes, you can be born into SaaS, okay? Yes, you can be. Yeah, entrepreneurs they were. Okay, so what I'm going to take you to, I'm going to take you to that middle. I'm going to focus on that. How can we, with the challenge that we've been given, how can we now, the goal is simple, get growth back up. And use AI to do that. That's all this is. Get growth back up and use AI as best as you can. And people and systems and tools, I got it, but AI is the new thing, right? So what I'm going to do, first and foremost, We got to go to a new model. The funnel won't work. 90% of all where growth is going to come from in a second is going to go to the right. So we can't go to the funnel. We got to go somewhere else. Now notice there's two big trends. I want you to understand both trends. They are very similar, often mentioned in the same word, but they're two different things. Monetization strategy. I'm going to move to a consumption-based model. Super important, but takes all place in expansion. Because every time you consume, you want to consume more, more, more. Therefore, you're in the expansion space, okay? The other thing that we can do is we can look and where we see most AI native companies now work. We see them work here, and that's where we're going to dive in. Why did Cursor go from 0 to 100? How did they do that so quickly? Now, they did that natively, right? What is native? Native means that the way you breathe, you don't know how you breathe. Your lungs are doing it. You don't have to think about it. It's native. You don't control your heart rate. You're native. It happens. You do it without thinking. And so what we did is, okay, well, let's see, why are these companies growing so fast? Other than market, we get that. Other than a fantastic product, we get that. But they do something else as well. They grow, first things, all these companies that are growing faster right now, they follow the same S-curve. So we're going to, it's accelerated, but they follow an S-curve. So no new path. It's not like they carved a brand new path or anything, not to worry about that. It's the same path, an S-curve. It's an accelerated S-curve. We also know that when we go down to the fundamental elements of growth, that there's three fundamental elements. They've pointed it out already. We're talking about acquisition, retention, and expansion. And notice that eventually acquisition goes down. This is not even drawn to scale, because if I do it in a second, you see acquisition really matters a little, right? Like, you need it. But towards the end, McKinsey has no longer a lot of customers to acquire. It's all expansion, expansion, expansion. Now everybody in the Fortune 500 company, okay? Now, I'm going to draw a chart down here. Now, by show of hands, how many of you here are a winning by design customer? Okay, salespeople, everybody else, feel free to sell to, sorry. Okay, why do I say that? Because many of you go like, Jacco, why are you putting up my chart on the wall? That is private information. Okay, go talk to the customer, other winning by design customer. They think that this is their chart too. Go to the next one. They think this is their chart too. Why do they think this is their chart? Because everybody's chart looks exactly the same. This is how revenue growth looks like, right? Over years, and this is off on a trajectory from 100 million to 1 billion. They all look the same. Almost always they look like this. And what is the thing that stands out down here? 75+%, and some go as high as 95+%. All of the GTM resources are focused on that blue little top. And that blue little top is super important. Don't get me wrong, we need it. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm saying is that the best place to grow? While we are now seeing that return on investment in return of growth over there, it ain't working right now, right? SEO, it's not working any longer. And so while I'm explaining this a few weeks ago to Dave, right, like, he starts talking to me, and Dave Boyce says to me, it's weird, if customers fuel growth, right, why does growth slow down when we have more of them? Think about that. If I am at $0 million, I want to get 10 customers because I know I can grow faster, right? And so I go like, hey, how do I grow faster? I need more customers and more customers and more customers. And eventually I come to the conclusion, my more customers are not helping me. That is because of a concept that we only, one of the many things I want you to take away today is, folks, we no longer click on the text messages as a UPS package, right? We're not. Who of you is still clicking on the UPS package? I sent you a UPS package. Click on it. Let's see what happens. Don't, right? Oh, I'm opening up email. I'm on superhuman email. It categorizes spam, info, self-page. Like, I'm not even, like, I'm seeing the 3 emails that are directly directed at me. Everything else, I don't even look at it anymore. So email is going to be 6 months, 12 months. Pick a date. You're not going to reach your customers that way. Okay, LinkedIn. Yeah, sure, LinkedIn. Fantastic. Want to get to know so that we get to know each other. Love your network. Jacco, you're a family of 8. Like, fantastic. Your AI reads my messages. I love it. Yes, no, not happening, right? So we can't reach our people any longer. So think about it. You're your own audience. When you want to buy something, where do you get the info from? You talk to people. This is and I want to say it's the new way, but like my parents inventing SaaS, right? Like, no, it's not a new way. It was already invented like a zillion years ago. There's nothing new here. What I'm showing you, what I'm going to depict to you, is the way how we grew from 1 to 10, from 10 to 100, and from 1 to billion, 100 to a billion, has been the exact same GTM motion for most companies. They just hit copy and paste, as if it's new LLM. Throw more resources, scale it up, and see where it goes. So that has stopped working. What if there's a new way? Now, I'm going to bring this out, go quickly through this. Assume most of you are familiar with the bow tie. This is just intended to be standard. Folks, on the left, I'm going inbound. I get somebody who comes to my website. Let's say I harvest their email address. Lead development turns to nurturing that email address into a discovery call. Discovery call, blah, 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 turns into a sale. To the right, I retain and I expand, right? CR, that purple one, first one could be called GRR, and between brackets, the second one could be NRR, right? Think of it that simple that way. Win rate would be the second blue one. Something simple, okay? Now, when I do that, understand that essentially what we're doing, we are creating reservoirs, a reservoir of customers and a reservoir of leads, and those reservoirs we then manipulate with our campaigns and resources, but that's how we think about it, right? We think about those reservoirs, a reservoir of leads and a reservoir of customers. That's how we manipulate the data. Now, I'm here to tell you that there's a specific thing that is different that we have overlooked. And we have overlooked it that it doesn't come native. I've been explaining this in the test up to this session today, and everybody at the outcome, when I look at the LinkedIn messages, thinks I'm talking about retention. I am not talking about retention. I am talking about forms of advocacy intended where the users of your products are generating new pipeline. Not companies, users. Not companies. Companies are logos. Logos we put on slides. We create little tiles of them, we print them, hang them on the wall, walk in and go like, dude, another logo one. Nobody ever does that. Okay, like that is how we win companies. But the moment in time that the company starts using your product, its people using your products are users. And we're looking at it and go like, there's an entire reservoir of users that we can use. Those users, that particular reservoir, have a different set of characteristics. These characteristics, other than users, not companies, it has a built-in target audience for you. It's built in. The audience itself, when you are asking somebody, hey, what are you using for marketing? By definition, that is your ICP, your built-in targeted audience. Second, the faster you grow, the more users you develop, the more users start talking about your product, it is a form of sustainable growth. Next one, you have immediate access to this. All of you have a backlog in users that you have never thought about using, or marketing in many cases. Next one, it augments. We're not saying it's okay, throw everything what is done out of the, no, we're saying we got a gap to fill. How are we going to fill that gap? And then lastly, for many of you who are marketers, you can use known campaigns in this, right? Now, a new factor we're going to introduce just for today, we don't know, we're not here to invent new terms. I'm just trying to make sure that this is not a conversion rate that we know. This is not like a lead to opportunity conversion rate or a win rate. What this opportunity conversion rate is how many users does it take to generate one opportunity? Now, we are using as a baseline 100 users once a year. Out of 100 users, once a year, one person says, oh, you should go talk to Winning by Design, OneMind, Vivun. Like one person that seems to be a reasonable start, right? And then we say, what campaigns could we deploy to do that? In order to explain that a little more in depth of how it worked, we recently brought on Dan Patterson. And perhaps, Dan, you can help us and explain to us where we are going from here.
Jacco,
You ready?
do we do shake hands?
No,
or
you
hug,
give me a
or-
hug. Yeah. Bring it in.
Do you know how hard it is for a British guy to hug another guy? It's
Not to worry. Number two.
Can I borrow one of those?
Yeah.
Are they free or? Thank you.
Oh, do you promise that you finish? Have you ever had one?
Oh, yes, I prefer the summer flavors rather than the traditional. All right, well, good morning, everybody. So I believe I have 120 seconds to explain some of the mathematics behind growth loops that Jacco just introduced. Before we get to the maths, I'd like to very quickly touch on what I describe the 5 effects of growth loops, because I think it'll help us with understanding the magic of the maths that I'll show you afterwards. So on the screen here, we have what I call the dilution effect. So this is a very standard classic GTM linear flow. We have a single input. We have single throughput, prospects converting to leads, to opportunities, to wins, to happy customers. That's all very well, but we have a volume decrease during that journey. So that's our dilution. Now, as you introduce Jacco, we have if you like, the inverse of that dilution, which we're going to call the concentration effect. Jacco, you were using the letter K, I believe, in your previous slide. I guess K for concentration. We'll go for that. This is the conversion from customers to users. And I think what's so key here is when we think about the ratio between customers and users, we're not talking 1 to 2, 1 to 3. At a minimum, we're talking order of magnitude 1 to 10, all the way up to 1 to 100. This is B2B enterprise software. These are very, very big user counts relative to our customer counts. And so what we're generating is this highly concentrated pool of users. Now, with the advent of AI, what we're able to do is pinpoint which users are the best candidates to become advocates. And so we can use AI to target very specific campaigns to extract, again, the most appropriate users to become those advocates. In turn, then, those advocates, and there's our K factor again, those advocates will naturally latch on to our ICP. We're already leapfrogging the lead acquisition journey. So these advocates will generate new leads and opportunities, but not only that, they are, I call it jumping the queue in England. We're fast tracking because we're not starting at the beginning of the funnel. We're actually inserting, and Jacco, I promised I wouldn't use the phrase side loaders, but we are side loading into the bow tie, and we're accelerating. So with that, I think when we consider customer value, I think traditionally, we've used things like lifetime value. I think that's absolutely key. There is a hidden, latent value in our customers that we're going to call advocacy impact. And we can dollarize that. We can measure it. I am way over my 120 seconds, but I got 2 more slides, which is the mathematics. How many of you are today at $100 million ARR? And how many of you aspire to be? So hopefully I'm not insulting some of you here, but let's just take an example where we're a $100 million ARR SaaS organization. Our average sales price is order of magnitude $50,000 per deal. We aspire to grow year on year at 20%. We have a 20% win rate. Let's assume we have close to 5,000 leads generated per month and 5% churn. So by the end of year 1, we're looking to acquire an additional $20 million. At the end of year 4, the model's projecting out close to 290. Now, as David Spitz alluded earlier in the session, we're facing an unsustainable cost of acquisition. Let's look at how that changes when we look at our modern GTM using growth loops. So assuming 1,500 customers, and let's take a lowly 12 users per customer, that generates almost 20,000 potential users. And again, we're converting those users to advocates. Let's assume 1 in 25 of those users then become advocates. That gives us 650 additional opportunities just over 110 additional deals. Of the $20 million that we were targeting in year one, we get a year one gain of $6 million. That's close to 30% increase. It's a 28% increase simply by focusing on that user pool. Now, that's interesting. I think what is just flabbergasting is the impact of compounding over time. Because when we extrapolate that over time, within 3 years, so by the end of year 3, we get a whopping 50% increase in new ARR gain. Now, I'm a scheduling guy that's been my career. This is interesting. There's an even more interesting metric here, and that is we're accelerating our growth trajectory. So by the end of year 3, we actually achieve what we would have achieved by the end of year 4. That's a 33% increase in velocity. So that's why I am so excited about the concept of growth loops. And again, for a scheduling guy, Jacco, I am so sorry for overrunning, but hopefully that explained it.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us that whiteboard style experience, right? Like, and where I'm going to take you next is what the impact of that would be in a real life environment. What we have here from 2001 to the first quarter of 2025 is one of the companies we work with. The amount of leads they need per quarter. Look at that number. We are needing about 6,000 to 7,000 leads per month. At the end, in the early Q of 2025, right? It's about 20,000 leads divided by 3 is about 6,000. Who can do that? And then the next month, we start all over again. Thank you, let's wipe those 6,000 out. We need another 6,000, another 6,000, right? Like, that's insane. And that is needed because the conversion rate is so marginal, right? We're looking at like fractions of a percent right now, 0.5%, 0.25%. We're no longer in 2 to 4% where this was designed about. What we are demonstrating is this customer had about 100 users per customer, right? 100 users. What would the impact be with a 1%, right? That is what that would look like. This is the line, the yellow line represents the amount of leads they would need if they would do that. Now, notice the line goes down. Why? Because it starts to become self-sustainable, right? And that is 1 in 100. Now, if this group starts deploying fantastic marketing campaigns, and folks, we have in the room the founder of Marketo, the founder of Serious Decisions, the founder of Sixth Sense, like we have nothing but marketing leaders in this room, right? If these folks are capable of making it 1 in 50, then that's the impact, okay? Now, is this realistic? I'm just showing you how sensitive it is, how sensitive this is. This is sensitivity to customer success. This is sensitivity to making the users successful with what you do. This indicates to us that there's 2 different kinds of go-to-market motion. The classic go-to-market motion, we win customers, and the modern GTM motion, we think of users. And the thing that we see, native AI companies do this from the get-go. This is where they start. But companies, as so many of you are here at 50, 100, 200, 1 billion, you do not do this natively. You natively think about customers, not about users. That's what we see. And that created this new growth. With AI, we now have found a new north. What can we do with AI? This is what we can do with AI. How are we going to do that? What we noticed is they do every time natively the same 2 things. Number 1, they tier it in different users. They create different user ecosystems. They create super users. You know, they create ambassador programs. First thing that they do. Second thing, they then treat those and on a cohort basis. Those are the 2 things that they do. That is now a new direction that we can put our marketing to. And then in sales, we can use human-led growth motions. We can put salespeople in the cities. Go meet with your users. Bring the ambassadors in. Go organize a dinner. We had 4 or 5 dinners last night. At least I ate steak at 4 different tables, so I... Lily one was including the bone. And so there was the human-led growth motion is key down here. Here is how a modern playbook, the elements of a modern playbook. Number 1, you tiered your users. You build a reward system from them. And then you have all these different and new programs. These are very much similar. You go like, Jacco, that's nothing new. Folks, I can tell you, Marketo and Eloqua did this with their users, and they grew very fast in the early days. Right? Those were the first MarOps people. We moved away as soon as email automation tools came into play. We stopped moving that direction. We just said, it's easier to go that specific program. Now, yes, I was literally on the phone, like with a friend of mine, and we were like chit-chatting, and she was literally finishing my sentences. I go like, I'm not like how can this person finish my sentence? And then I go like, okay, I got to ask her. So perhaps, Sydney Sloan, you can perhaps help us. What were we talking about, and what did you see out there?
So from the good old days of community, and I remember being at Jive and working with a lot of those companies. First of all, trying to keep up with Jacco on a Friday afternoon was challenging, but it was true because we were both excited about it. 3 ideas, because I always like to give practical things that you can implement. My first and really highly recommend doing this is incorporating your customer advocates and champions into your deal acceleration programs. So if you're doing a dinner, if you're doing a high-end event, the ratio I like to use is 1 customer champion to 3 prospects. And don't bring your salespeople. Sorry, salespeople, because you don't have to. The customers are there cross-selling and upselling your prospects. So incorporate your customers in your high-value programs. The second one is a thing that we used to do at Adobe called Adobe Days. And now you can do it virtually. We used to do it in person. You take your champion, and you put them on stage, and you let them tell their story. At the same time, you're creating cross-sell virtual or in-person sessions. So we come and say, here's a Photoshop session for anybody in the company that wants to learn Photoshop. That's not that I was selling enterprise. But it got the energy and momentum going, and you were able to allow that champion to cross-sell their colleagues on the success that they had with you. Every time we generate opportunities.
Isn't that fantastic, right?
It was amazing. The last one, and yes, I do work at G2, but I work there because I used G2 before. And that is really enacting those users as your power advocates and get them to leave reviews because, and I'm presenting this at SaaStr today, we just did our buyer behavior report, and yes, the world is changing. So the number 1 place that people now start when doing research and evaluation is the LLMs. And those LLMs are being mostly influenced through user-generated content, and reviews is the highest one of that. The second place they go is reviews. So chatbots and LLMs, reviews, both of those things power each other. So make sure they do that too. Thanks, Jacco.
Thank you very much. Round of applause for Sydney. Folks, when we think about this transition from companies to users, this is the new mindset that we need to get into when we want to kickstart that new engine. Now, when I said earlier about Dave and Dave Boyd's question when we brought it up, I here show you the transition to that, right? The transition is, what is the difference? That difference is that one single word. Not to think about customers, but to think about them as users. And what do? We now get to see that there's a new playbook. I'm trying to simplify it to this picture. We have an acquisition playbook, we have a retention playbook, we have an expansion playbook. We now have a user-activated pipeline playbook. Whatever we call that playbook, user-led growth, it's gone, lost on me these days. But let's call that the yellow line, right? That yellow line identifies the new playbook where we're at. Today, we're going to see many companies out there that are having a role to play in that. You're going to see several of AI companies who can help us with that. With that said, I am handing it back over to the master of ceremony, Dave Boyce. Thank you.
All right. We're going to kick into our next session. We're going to reset the stage for our next guest. Bobby, really good to see you. In from Denver, I think? Colorado. In from Denver, Colorado. Amazing. Gabe, in from Salt Lake City. Good to see you. Amazing. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to get into, you're going to walk away from today. We are resetting the stage, right?